Hello, Gabriella.
Hi there, it's nice to be here. Pleasure, Carmen.
Thank you for being here. How are you doing?
Very well. It's a really hot day in Hong Kong, as you
Yes.
know, so everyone's quite busy.
Gabriella, you are CFO and founder of your own consulting firm. How do we pronounce it? I prefer you to say it.
You can pronounce it in a couple of different languages, so it's Montandon Consulting or Montandon Consulting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically you help CEOs, founders, you help them stabilize their business and finance their business, but you also help with successful market exits, right?
Also do, yep.
So you've been living in Hong Kong for 19 years?
Yeah, almost 20.
You were born in Canada
Yeah.
to Australian and Swiss parents.
That's it.
You're coming back from Switzerland, by the way.
Yeah.
And thank you for the chocolate.
You're welcome. It's the best. Try not to share it too much.
Very thoughtful. So you used to work in different work environments, some super male dominated, some multicultural teams as well.
Always.
And also you say that you're a third culture child because you lived in Canada and your parents are not from Canada. I mean, they were born in Australia and Switzerland.
That's
so
it.
you're like a mix of many different things, and now you
Yep.
live in Hong Kong. So
Does that make me a fourth culture person
Yeah,
now?
probably.
I don't know. Maybe my kids are, yeah.
So the least we can say is that you're used to adapting to different situations.
Core skill set.
Yeah. But then my question is, how do you stay grounded while having to adapt to many different countries or teams or situations, basically?
One of the core context points I would say to that is, do we need to stay grounded? So I could answer that question very literally. And how do you stay grounded, meaning how do you stay sane? I could say, I work out. I go for walks. It could be very literal. But how do you stay grounded, as in how do you stay sensible, and how do you keep your brain about you, and how do you see the issues for what they really are? I think that's very contextual. And I would invite you to lift up a little bit and do what I do in a business, which is to come in kind of as an umbrella and look at it from the top and say, where are we here? If you can't see the structure from the top and put a bit of a mental architecture over things, you can't even see what's what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So contextually, that's how I do things. I look at what the whole shape of things. I'm very conceptual, so I look at things from the perspective of, can I see the whole thing? Are there any blind spots? Do I need more information in certain places? I trawl for a lot of information, and those information points are hard data, they're emotional, they're micro movements, they're behavioral, they're legal, they're all sorts of things. But they're very contextual, and that's how I would say myself and my clients stay grounded.
Okay.
So the grounding comes from asking uncomfortable questions and saying,
Like what?
are you sure that this is what your problem is? So they would say to me, oh, my accounting system's broken. I would come in and observe and spend some time with them and say, I've noticed a few things. How do you feel about this, this, and this? And maybe it turns out that they're having a succession planning issue. And in fact, the accounting system might be broken, but it's 1,000th of what's actually happening. There are very big dynamics at play. So I encourage the founders, typically I work with founder leaders, to really open their eyes to reality, data, and seeing the truth that is real, not the one that they think is happening, but real truth.
What about being grounded also on a personal level, like in your personal life? Well, personal, when you have your business, it's always like personal and professional. But I mean, finding like a purpose, being driven. This is also being grounded while having to work with so many different clients, traveling, doing this or that, or so many stuff. So
I agree. I think a lot of that, Carmen, is exactly that. It's having that purpose and connecting to it. So for me, I like fixing. I'm a fixer. I like to take really uncertain, uncomfortable, volatile situations and create architecture out of them and solutions and scenarios. That for me is what drives me, right? And if I'm in a situation where it's all very stable, I just flip out of those situations. I cannot engage with that. That's more for like a stability type of person. I always used to say to to my friends that there are a couple of different kinds of CFOs, and two particular types are, one type is a mover, changer, transformer, and they might get a company listed or sold, and another one keeps it there. So I typically I'm the one who gets it there or takes it away, but I don't sort of plane like this.
And how do you feel when you fix things? Like what do you like in this process?
I don't know which hormone it is. Maybe it's dopamine.
Okay.
But there's definitely palpable satisfaction for me. I can feel the satisfaction. I can see the satisfaction on people's faces when things are working, when they see the actual results. A lot of what I do is unsexy. It's very behind the scenes. It's, let's look at your cash flow. Let's look at whether things reconcile and match. Let's look at whether what the banks are telling you is correct or whether they're spinning you stories. It's triaging information. It's not very sexy. But if you get the right, it's digging and getting rid of a lot of stuff as well, and saying this is not relevant, not correct, not right. This is what we have to deal with. And once you start finding those solutions I think of in terms of scenarios. Yeah. And then the founders make the decisions they want based on outcomes that we can see. Okay. Once they can see those scenarios, that is satisfaction, because you can see it on their faces, but you can see it on their cash flow. You know, so you can turn a company from about to go bankrupt into something that is really surviving and thriving, and even through COVID. And then you can also see, for example, one of my core remits is to have the founders stabilize their businesses so that they recognize themselves again and they can see their next step. A lot of my founders want to exit their own businesses. They want a succession plan to come in with a third party, or even a known third party sometimes. Maybe it's a 2 or 5 year plan. And once the founders can see their next 30 years, that's also a success factor. Brilliant. Okay. You can see it on their faces, but for me, I can see it in the numbers too, right? When the cash starts coming in, you have double-digit bottom line, it's stable, the bankers love it, the investors love it. What's not to love? Yeah,
and throughout your experience, because you've helped many businesses, many different types of businesses, did you observe like recurring patterns or common mistakes that a lot of businesses do?
Oh yeah. So,
like if you could say like the main ones.
I'll tell you one main one, and maybe others will come out of that. But the single most important one is cash flow.
Yeah, I was waiting for this.
It's cash flow, and it absolutely is. Cash flow means, and even the definition of cash flow, it means so many different things to so many different people. Cash flow to some people means how much money do I have in the bank? Cash flow to others means how much cash can I draw every month? For other people, it means what level of cash flow can I have in the business as a bottom line to attract funding so I can amplify the business? For others, it's what does my cash flow look like in 1 and 2 years? It can mean, definitionally, it means totally different things to different people. But the reason cash flow is so key is because it's the distillation of the other two financial statements, balance sheet and profit and loss. And they're all based on estimates, right? But cash is real. Yeah, cash is real. If you looked at nothing else in your small business, you look at cash and where it's gone and where it is going. Only cash. A lot of people make a mistake in thinking that what they see in their profit and loss at the bottom is cash. It's not. You have depreciation, you have estimates and accruals and whatever provisions, and it distorts what's coming down to your bottom line, your profit after tax or EBIT or EBITDA, whatever. EBITDA is closer to cash, let's say. But a lot of people in small business don't understand the basics of financial literacy to understand what cash is, just what cash is, definitionally.
So what is it?
Well, cash is essentially what you're left over with on a real basis after everything's done. It comes in, it goes out, right? Yeah. And then cash is current, but it can also be future, right? So you look at what you're going to do. What are the consequences of these choices that you make based on the scenarios that we develop together? What are the consequences of what we've decided to do? And what does that look like in terms of cash? What's your future cash going to look like? Because that means are we in the right direction? Are we going to achieve our objectives, exit the business, grow it, go into a new market, get funding, whatever. Yeah.
So it seems like it usually comes down to cash and cash flow.
For me, it does.
Yeah.
It comes. Well, that's the most visible part of a business, let's say, to a business owner. It does come down to that, but it always starts with having a proposition. We were chatting earlier about having your USP and maintaining that USP. You cannot have that cash flow and maintain that cash flow and grow it unless you have, curate, and constantly refine that USP. You think of, I was telling some friends recently about how I think about AI. It's a bit like before, to me, it's a bit like before we had sewing machines. Yeah. So people used to sew by hand. It took a lot of work. You would work by candlelight, and then you had electricity. And then there were sewing machines. Oh, these things make noise. You have to press on a pedal or something, whatever. Before electricity was a bit of a foot pedal or something, right? But it was scary because there were needles and it was a big machine. But once you got used to it, it's much faster. It's easy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I just mentioned that you used to work in different types of environments. When I said male-dominated environment, because you worked in a tobacco company, yeah,
and a metals company as well, metals and mining.
Oh wow,
yeah,
this is very male-dominated.
Very.
I guess it comes down again to adapting. You also have you told me a no asshole rule. We're allowed to say this word. I'll just put that this episode includes like explicit content.
That's right.
So
you can choose to bleep it out or not, whatever. It's up to you.
So you choose who you work with. But were there times that you refused to work with some specific clients? You don't have to name them.
Yeah.
But maybe explain the reason.
Yes.
Or how you found out like I feel like my experience and it's also your intuition and experience that tells you no, I should not go in this direction with them.
Absolutely. Okay, so when I'm an SME in my own right, and I'm working with SMEs, right? The no asshole rule is very important to me because we have finite hours and days on the planet, and we want to work with people who are pleasant. We just want to spend time around good people. It doesn't mean that everyone's like a golden retriever on the beach and happy every single second of every day. But there are parameters of common decency which are really important in business. If someone is an asshole, what I perceive that to be is that they're trying to feel someone else feel small. In a nutshell, whether it's me or someone else. When someone tries to make, and whatever their reasons are, we don't need to go into that. If they try to make someone else feel small, what happens to that person is that their amygdala is engaged and their monkey brain, their primal brain is engaged, and they go into defensive mode. They're working from a place of fear. Their higher functions don't work. They can't see things straight. They're panicking. They're in a corner. They're afraid, and they can feel it, right? You can see that they close down and that they don't even talk in meetings. They're scared. They don't make brave decisions anymore. And you have to be brave as an entrepreneur. You cannot think with a conservative mindset in entrepreneurialism, very little. So they put other people in a position where they can't make good decisions. And the point of my role is to help people make better decisions.
Okay.
That's literally the point of my role.
Yeah.
I have worked with some less than pleasant people, even in big corporates. I won't say it's only male, okay? Because some women in business can be pretty tough trying to prove themselves. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so there's maybe different rules, words for that. But some men can be really tough, but maybe you expect it from them in some ways, right? What I didn't expect in small business was that much assholery. I thought that they were in it for the right reasons. They have an idea, they want to go forward. Everyone's, go-getter, but for the right reasons. Actually, sometimes no. A lot of what I've seen in small to medium businesses is ego. A lot of ego plays.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we talked about this before, but there's a certain section, which is one of my sweet spots, a certain section of small to medium businesses, still founder-led, which I call teenager companies. So those teenager companies think they're adults. They think they're grown up, but they're not quite. They don't quite have the full functioning, And that also goes into their sense of judgment and their clarity of how their behavior is impacting others. It's a strange, messy type of organization, but for me, there is gold in there.
Yeah.
Because with some relatively simple, not so simple always to execute, but relatively simple mechanics, we can unlock a lot of value. Yeah, it's cool. It's very cool with that size of company. A company anywhere from, let's say, 10 people to 200 people. That's still teenager company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. That thing about ego, because I think it's not only in entrepreneurship, but just in general, it's really something that can just blind ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. So a lot of people also refer to a lot of narcissism in small business. That ego. People even talk about Steve Jobs when, in Apple, when he first started, he was a bit of an asshole apparently to work with. And some people who are maybe more inclined to be in that way say, oh, well, don't worry. A lot of people who found very successful companies are assholes. Some even go to say, you need to be a narcissist to run a successful business. But it's self-justification, right? You really don't need to be that way. But it is a challenge because you see a certain amount of success. And it's so easy for self-importance to rise. It's just a human condition. Yeah. It really is a human condition. And it takes a lot of willingness to work on yourself and self-awareness, like transparency. Self-awareness, deep work.
We hear, this representation of a successful entrepreneur, well, we think of a man usually.
A lot of
for some reason. But it's just,
Statistically, though, it's not incorrect, right? Because in most business so far in the world, in known history, most of the known successes have been male. Yeah. So it's not incorrect to assume that.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
But we're at the pivotal point now.
It's at least the people that we hear about.
Oh, that's a different thing too.
Different layers. But what I think it's also, we have this image of a successful entrepreneur or like Steve Jobs. And it's like you have to be an asshole to succeed in business. We see a lot of also the pop culture spreads this in the really movies, in series, like corporate lawyers who are complete assholes, but so rich and so powerful and so have just a lot of
Netflix,
influence.
Right? Billions and whatever.
Yeah, exactly, billions. Yeah. So I think it's just interesting to challenge that and maybe slowly show that there are other possibilities to have a successful business, and that maybe the next Apple, if there's one in the future, maybe this could be done in a more friendly atmosphere.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean it's cheesy, but still,
And even if it is, so what?
Yeah.
I did work with a business that I helped through an acquisition. They've now sold successfully to a very large corporate. And it was also founder-led, a married couple, still married, which is great. And they ran a fantastic business, and they sold. I helped them to integrate into the big corporate. They were very well known. It was the woman who was the wife who was the CEO. She's particularly known for grooming organizational culture in a positive way.
Yeah.
And she is now trying to create a new career out of that, which is fantastic because she's sticking with what she loves. She's poking around and trying to figure out what that's going to look like. She doesn't quite know what the structure of that business is going to be, whether she does keynote speeches around the world, whether she helps small business with their corporate culture, whether she helps them to scale to exit a bit like me, but maybe with more of an HR, org science, let's say, view or penchant, maybe. But it can be done. At times it was cheesy, actually. But what I would say about that organization is I learned a lot about what can work. And I learned a lot also about how I operate. It was very eye-opening. she liked to use something that was called Pass. I can't remember what the tool was, but it was an app that she'd rolled out, and it basically got ongoing employee feedback, and it was pretty brutal sometimes. But then they would know which part of the organization they needed to go and address.
Okay.
It was the temperature on different parts of the organization. It's brutal, eyes wide open, right?
Yeah.
It's the way to go.
Yeah.
It was data driven, and it made some people uncomfortable. But if you get the discomfort up front, you don't get it 10 years later, or you're not sued later, or you don't make mistakes you didn't intend to. You can just catch it early. That's the kind of entrepreneur you want to be around, honestly. But it is quite rare.
Yeah. Okay, now it's let's do a small break for the fireside questions.
Okay.
This is something I do in each episode. So it's 5 questions, and you answer, right away.
Rapid fire.
It's exactly. It's super, super easy.
Yeah.
Your favorite place in the world?
The Labo in Switzerland, which is on the north shore of the Lake of Geneva.
Oh, cool. One thing that is part of your routine that you can't skip?
Setting my calendar for the next week every Sunday.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You didn't expect that, did you? You probably thought something else.
I think it's I think it's a good thing. I do that on Mondays.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah. The last expensive thing you bought?
A diamond ring.
Oh.
Yeah. Self-gifting.
Nice.
Ka-ching.
You have it here?
I don't. No,
Okay.
It was actually a ring that I had made for myself in champagne diamonds that goes all the way around, and I call it the Circle of Trust. I gave it a name because I had left a corporate environment where I learned a lot of lessons about trust. So I bought it as like a memento of it to remind myself.
I love that.
Yep.
Do you have a motto? Or just something that you repeat yourself?
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Yeah. Stay curious. Always stay curious.
Very cool.
Keeps you younger too. It's good for longevity, apparently.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And the last one, if you have a book or podcast or series that you would recommend?
I love Huberman. So he's a Stanford professor in neuroscience, etc. His podcasts are super long, but he's got a beautiful voice. And
what's it called?
It's the Huberman podcast.
Okay.
Huberman, maybe another N. I'll send it to you later. So the Huberman podcast, and he basically makes neuroscience digestible. I'm a complete health and science geek, and he just speaks to my inner geek. Yeah.
Okay. So that goes with the stay curious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But you have to really set aside some time for that, or you need to chunk it out and say, okay, I've got 20 minutes for you today. He actually got some good feedback from his listenership, and he had to make some smaller sessions of 20, 30 minutes because his podcasts were getting to 2 and 3 hours long. Yeah. Nobody has that kind of time, right? Yeah. The commutes are not that long.
Yeah.
So, but it's a fascinating.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll have a listen. Cool. So that's it. See? Easy.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so back to your business. It's a pretty direct question, but also a big one. How did you grow your business?
Oh.
I know it's super broad, but a lot of entrepreneurs I've been talking about this transition phase that can last long, from when you start your business, when you quit your job, if you had a corporate job before, to when you start your business, and then when you say that, okay, it's kind of successful now, which is, we'll talk about that later, like what does success mean, and when to say, now I'm successful. It's weird to say that.
Yeah.
But, and this transition can be super long. Yeah. So how do you, how did you grow your business to go from, I started my business, now I can earn my living with this business?
Oh, goodness. Wow, it's like a $36 million question. In a large part, I have run my business for a large part of the last 10 years, where I've been doing this fractional type of role. I've run it by working in my business. And that is actually a common error of my clients. They work so much in their business that they don't work on it. So, and the reason I was able to get away with this was because I have a constant flow of people who say, oh, you should speak to Gabriella. She can fix your problem. Oh, you're in pain financially? Speak to Gabriella. And I have this flow of clients that comes to me. But when the market shifts a little bit, and the market is a little bit fractured, it was a little bit fractured during COVID, for example. It's a little bit fractured now. When the market is a little bit more fractured, I'm someone who normally has the pipeline of business coming to me. So I'm used to working in my business.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at it, I'm working on my business. Partly because I've got to a decade, I've gone metric. I've got to a decade and I'm saying, okay, is this actually what I really want? I kind of fell into it in the beginning. I wanted to do a portfolio career. I kind of fell into it at the timing that I did because I left something that was, I didn't want to be a part of that environment. And I fell into it and someone said, oh, straight away, come and fix my business. And so it kind of accelerated what I wanted to do, which is great. Because timing in fact, most times timing is not about you, it's about the market, right? Then how do you grow your business? So I grew my business by making my clients successful. And then by having people speak about me. It's completely grassroots. Now I would say I might do it more intentionally, and partly because of the no asshole rule that I invoked more strictly last year. I want to be much more selective about making sure that the fit is right on both sides. Even if you don't call it the asshole rule, it is fit. 80% of what I do is about fit, honestly.
Yeah. Because you work with
humans. And mechanically, there are things that AI can do, that junior accountants can do, that legal people, HR, IT people can do. I can do all of that stuff across the company. But when you're dealing with people's egos and maybe sometimes trauma, their generational trauma comes into play because it dictates, or at least flavors heavily, how they make decisions around money. So when you're dealing with that, it's a little bit different. So now I'm looking at the type of people who I'm doing business with. I did also realize that for me, coming into maybe that's what a success looked like for you, I realized that a lot of what I enjoyed doing and that was maybe more successful for me was those longer relationships. So not necessarily parachuting in for 3 months and doing a big whiz bang and saying, okay, you're done, here's the bow on the box. For me, I really enjoyed being a part of that process and the evolution of the relationship. So what that looks like is maybe I would work for 1 to 3 days a week for 2 to 3 years with the same client. I would help them into a transaction, through a transaction, maybe not a transaction, then a transaction again, and then through the other side in integration, right? Whether it's a transaction or a financial recovery, funding, or just operational improvement and expansion, right? I realized that longevity of relationship is actually what I think is successful.
And what does working on your business look like?
Okay, so I'll take a step back. Working in my business is providing the services that I provide. Working on my business is zooming up and saying, do I know my customer profiles? Do I have a unique selling proposition? Am I as productive and efficient as I could be? Am I using AI? Am I outsourcing what is not a good use of my time? Is my cost base relevant? Do I have the correct funding, the correct resourcing? It's really looking at it like a business model, very easily like the business model canvas by Strategizer. It's a one-pager, and I use this with my clients very frequently because on one page you can point at it and have a conversation and say, is your USP still relevant? What about your supply chain? What about the barriers to entry? Has someone blocked you? Look at the tariffs, right? So if you have a business that is highly sensitive to tariffs between China and the US, you would say, well, you have a real issue, right? And whether we could have foreseen that or not, I don't personally have that issue. I'm a services business and I work in a very free market, which is Hong Kong, and my clients might be in other parts of the world, but generally I can work kind of wherever. I don't really have those barriers to entry, right? All I need is freedom of speech, good tech, good connectivity, my brain needs to work, and willing clients.
Okay. I hope the listeners took some notes because this is really
critical.
So important. Yeah. Critical. Yeah.
But you really need to carve out time to do it because it's a very different type of mental work. You need time blocking for this.
Deep work.
Deep work.
It's not like 1 hour.
No.
It's like maybe take an afternoon to just think it through.
Yeah. Depending on if you're a late person or a morning person. For me,
or a morning.
My sweet spot is 11 a.m. So I always do from like 9 to 12. That is my deep work.
So this is how you grew your business.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me that you're a fixer, you like to fix. But what was in hindsight, what was your main goal doing this? Like why do you have your business? What are you after?
Yeah, my main goal is independence.
Okay.
If I'm selfish about myself, it's independence. I want to independently be able to choose the type of impact, or at least input, I can have to the world. I want to choose to support women in business, founders, people in Hong Kong, maybe Switzerland, maybe Australia, maybe Canada. I want to be able to choose. I'm quite independently minded. I wanted that sense of independence. I also wanted to have enough financial independence where I could support the things that I really believe in on the side, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe I believe in women in business, and I'd like to spend more time on that. So the flexibility in some ways, even if I work 7 days a week, right? But I could still carve out some time rather than clocking in and clocking out of a corporate, right? There's a bit of flexibility in time. People often ask me the question, was it about your children? It totally was not. I could say it was, but it really wasn't. It was great to have additional flexibility for them, but that was not why I designed it that way. I wanted to experiment with the creative side, and I am quite comfortable with uncomfortable things, and I realized that is a very unusual skill set. Not everybody wants that. Some people can handle it, but not repetitively, and they don't go and seek it out. Whereas for me, I seek out dysfunction, I seek out discomfort, because that's where I like to play. Because I like to put architecture and structure onto it and help people to see that it's okay, actually. There is a way forward.
Have you heard of this? It's like an exercise I've done when I was in corporate. There was a coach came in, and we had this session, and the exercise was to ask why 3 or 5 times, and then
actually, why? Yeah, the whys.
For example, I asked you, why did you start the first why? Why did you start your business?
Yeah.
So you said to be independent, and then why do you want to be independent?
That's right.
And then and then you can go so deep.
Yeah.
So for example, why you said why you want to be independent to maybe you have time to help women.
Yeah. I can explain that
why
very
do you
easily.
Want to help
Yeah,
women?
I can explain it easily. I grew up in Canada in the, let's say, 70s, 80s. My mother was a single mom, so my parents divorced when I was 6 or 7. My father was still around in Canada, but because I was brought up by a single mother, and because in that era there was no help of any kind, we had odd nannies who just didn't really do much. Frankly, they're pretty inept. I saw how much my mother had to do to keep things really organized and on the straight and narrow and productive and financially sane. And I thought of previous generations as well. I looked back at previous generations of my family where maybe some of the men died early and the women were in a long lineage. The women were the ones who actually pulled everything together. And I thought, okay, this has just got to stop. I've got to leapfrog it forward. I have to bring it forward so that there's some security there. And I don't want there to be precarity in my family. I want there to be some security. Now, you might say going into business yourself invites precarity. It invites destabilization. It does. It is a leap of faith. At the same time, if you're born with half a brain and a body that generally works, you have to use it. You've got to contribute. Use it in a good way, a sensible way. But that is really what drove me, was I saw what was happening around me. I saw the inequity between men and women, even in the treatment of my brother and myself. And that's totally fine for the era, but no longer. My brother's my biggest ally now. I looked at that and I said, there must be a better way. There must be a better way.
I guess you had more stability founding your business because maybe you had control also. And I guess when you are in corporate, you think you have control, but actually...
It's an illusion.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It's an illusion. Having said that, you can benefit from that structure, right? You can, especially people who have minds that can go to many places. And I don't want to call it ADD or ADHD, but minds that can be multiple and you have many creative ideas. It keeps you on the straight and narrow. But is it what you want to do, right? That illusion of control is a really important one for listeners to think about.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it really control? I think now also about, is it really control for me? In some ways, no. And that's why I invoked the no asshole rule. And now it is about control.
Yeah.
So that's a different phase of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since I have my business, I think I have, way more control of my life, my schedule, people I work with, what I want to do, how I want to work on my business.
Good.
All of this
I
stuff.
applaud all of that, but you know the price that comes with.
Yeah.
Right? It is a massive responsibility, and you do have to work on your business and put enough structure onto it to get the right timings, the right people to pull these sorts of things together. It's you doing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I even speak to some people I know in big corporates right now, and they say, I was talking about, well, maybe we could develop an agentic AI tool for that. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I already have an in-house, dedicated LLM. I mean, they take some things completely for granted, right? So anyway, there's benefits on both sides.
Sure. And if you go back in time, is there, or time far from now, or maybe in the near past, is there anything that you would do differently? Is there a time you just realized you were wrong?
Many times. What the benefit of being an entrepreneur is that you can fail a lot.
Yeah.
You're the one doing your own performance review. And I'm very hard on myself, but that's okay because I'm still brave enough to make the mistakes. I go, oh God, I wiped out. Oh God, I really hit the pavement. Oh, and you learn, but the more you fail, the faster you fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
The better you fail. One thing I did learn was that, and I'll come back to whether I would do something differently. In fact, I won't come back to that. I'm going to answer it differently. What I am doing differently based on my experience is that I am pivoting around things instead of digesting my way through them.
Okay.
Because if you constantly keep going through the iterations of what did I do, what could I have done better, you know what? Sometimes it's really obvious. It's Occam's razor. What appears obvious is. So let's just look at it for what it is. What worked, what didn't. Do it in a 5-minute thing and say, okay, pivot. You don't have to digest your way through and go through 6 months of meditation. Step right around it and start again. Take 5 minutes. It's all it needs sometimes. Don't spend your time failing. Spend your time learning. Yeah. And you keep learning by doing.
Put your ego aside.
Correct. That's really critical.
Yeah.
I never really had a lot of ego in my business, and that actually didn't really always serve me, to be honest. I think you need to somehow be quite ballsy. I think with like a really Protestant background, you're very kind of demure and you're a workhorse, and you're like, I don't need to be upfront. Actually, you really do need to be upfront sometimes.
Yeah. You just have to accept that once you have your business, then you'll make so many mistakes. Yeah. And that's just part of the process, and it's not something negative.
It's really not negative as long as you're continually learning, and you're remaining curious, and you can engage that kind of behavior from your clients as well. Then you're creating more positivity and value than the reverse. Yeah. I mean, I look at my children, and I even sometimes tell them some of the stories that I've had in my business, right? I'll say, okay, you'll never guess what happened today. And I'll take out an A3 piece of paper and draw it for them and say, okay, we started here. We were trying to do this thing, but then these 3 things happened. Guess what happened next? And they're just like, oh, Mom, you're so cringy. But it helps me to digest it, right? Yeah. And it gives them a little bit of visibility of what happens during a workday.
You've been working also on your business. Do you have in mind like a project, an upcoming project, or something new, anything that you will implement in the near future?
Oh, I always have lots of ideas, but I do have a couple of different things that I'm potentially working on. One thing I am not really working on, but I'd love to find. I'll start there. I would love to find an agentic AI tool that, in a cordoned off, safe, legally safe way, deals with sensitive client information and digests it and analyzes it. So we have tools like Tableau and Power BI. They're quite clunky. They sit on the top and they just make graphs and digest it. Great, but they're quite clunky to use and they're not super sophisticated. I'd love to see an analytical tool that is AI based, still safe, that can pre-chew a lot of the information and do all those iterations, regressions, and come out with insights, and then that can be packaged up. So that's something I'm looking for. I haven't found it yet. So if any listeners come up with that, I would love to have that. As far as upcoming projects, there are a couple of different avenues that I'm looking at. And I have 2 people talking to me about full-time roles. So I'm thinking, do I do that? Maybe, maybe not. But if I do it, what I was realizing was that when they were speaking to me about it, I was saying to them, well, but I don't need to be based there. I could travel. And I've already got that entrepreneurial mindset. And they're okay with that. So as long as I find an environment like that, that's fine. I wouldn't just be only that thing, though. I would still do my other business venturing, et cetera, on the side, and women in business, whatnot.
That's a difficult decision to make.
It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, but I do think, like I said, it's more substance over form, and nothing is forever. I think when you're
I like to say that too.
Yeah, if you're in a portfolio career, by its nature, it's transient. There are no 40-year ExxonMobil careers anymore. It just doesn't happen. Every mandate or job that you touch, you know that it's finite. You just know that. I am looking at something else which is much more entrepreneurial, which is an already commercialized but beauty brand, Asian beauty brand, which is already being commercialized globally, but is looking to formalize its legal structure and expand. Find new distribution channels, potentially through influencers, potentially through white labeling. So they're looking for someone to not co-found, but to be part of that founding team. So that's kind of interesting, but it's more speculative. The potential prize is much bigger, but it's much more speculative. And then you think, well, I still need to make bread and butter for the family, right? So you get those trade-offs.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I would be curious to know.
I'll let you know how that one goes. It'll be an interesting journey. So in the next 3 to 6 months, things will start to unpick themselves. We'll see what happens.
Maybe we'll do another episode.
Yeah, maybe.
To know what's next for you.
We'll do the post,
Yeah. Okay. Last question, which is the signature question of the podcast that I ask to all my guests. So do you have a lesson that you learned throughout your experience as an entrepreneur to share with fellow entrepreneurs and business owners?
Have fun. Have fun. Having fun involves a lot of courage. It also means that you need to get to the root of who you are. It doesn't necessarily mean, go and drink coffee all day. It means, like for me, having fun is seeing that sparkle in someone's eye when they're like, oh, now I get it. That's my fun. Having fun, because if you're not having fun, your brain can't function correctly. You can't make good decisions, and you will never find the $1 million idea or $1 billion idea. Having fun is what made people invent smartphones and AI and quantum computing. Literally, having fun is where innovation comes from and progress comes from, because things of true value are between things, not inside of them, right? Because it's never happened before. You put 2 things together, like 2 people, and you get a child, right? And and that thing has never happened before, and it will never happen again. That's innovation. That would be my goal for everybody. Have fun.
I love it. I love it.
Try it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a mindset. It is
a mindset, but it's a discipline, right?
In a way. Mentally.
Yeah. But when you say staying and mindset, that invokes discipline, right? So the concept of have fun, people can do that, but having fun means actually you need to remind yourself to have fun. You've got to block out time and say, am I really doing the thing that brings me joy still? It's almost like the Marie Kondo, but for business. Throw out what's not bringing you joy.
Yeah.
Clear your calendar.
Yeah.
I do it once every quarter. You should try it. When I sense that I'm just getting a little bit sort of burned out, the week before a week, I clear everything from my calendar. And all I do is go to work, come home, eat. Go to work, come home, eat. Go to work, come home, eat for 7 days. And I reset myself. Just tabula rasa. Start again.
Okay.
I would try.
Okay.
It's good for the cortisol levels too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Gabriella.
What a fun chat.
Yeah.
Do
I
it
think
again
we
soon.
went deep, and it will let me reflect a lot on many things. Being fun, about having a purpose, about working on your business. A lot of insights.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack. Certainly when
Yeah.
you're talking about small businesses, it's not like a tidy little box with a bow on it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it's very organic. It makes it scary for some people, but that's the beautiful part of it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to unpack. I hope you have a good
Absolutely.
sleep tonight and let it all just rain.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for having me. Pleasure.